Looked like a party. 9:41 here on the Talk of the Town. Talk 100.7 FM. Dr. Anita in studio with us. Dr. Anita Amidon from LaserSpa at 610. Boy, you throw one heck of a party, that's for sure.
I think so. We have a blast. We have a little too much fun, I think.
I know. I saw some of the pictures from your recent event over, what was that, Friday or Saturday?
It was actually Wednesday.
Was it?
It was Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah,
but you
do
posted
Wednesday
them later.
nights,
I gotcha.
Yeah. We don't want to take anyone's weekend. You know, everyone's got their own weekend plans, especially heading into the spring and the summer. So Wednesday nights, you know, and we do 5 to 8, so you can come right after work.
Great way to break the week up, that's for sure.
Right, yeah.
And a little excitement. All right.
We had a blast. And we did it a little bit differently. Usually our events, or the last few events, have been very targeted, specific discounts towards services. But we really run 2 different types of events. This was our more educational one, so we had little micro groups focused in different rooms on the actual procedures. So it was really informational. A lot of people walked away with a lot of information plus discounts, and a lot of people won prizes. So it was fun. And we'll do it again in the fall and probably do the more targeted one where if you're looking, like let's say you've consulted with us and have been waiting for prices to come down on all therapy or any of our other services, you can come to that event and specifically put a deposit down and get a very significant discount on your actual things.
I have to pop out in a minute to go to a press conference, but just want to ask this question. When you have the people who have maybe never been there before, when they show up, what's the one thing that seems to really, at least this past time, really impress them or really caught their eye that you guys offer?
In terms of the open house or just for a consultation?
Well, when they show
both.
up at the open house,
At the
right,
open house.
and something just really that this people really seem to be impressed by.
I think when they walk in, they're impressed with the waiting room. The waiting room is beautiful, and I can't take credit for it. My Tom Amidon had designed it ages ago, and it's still relevant. But beyond that, I think it's just warm. I think people are scared to take that first step, but when you walk in, you don't feel alienated. There's instant, like misoneone's greeting you at the door, and someone's saying, "Hey, this stuff isn't scary. It's not painful. It's not."
You mean people who might feel they might have an image problem, or they might want to improve their look and they feel insecure about something. So taking that step to actually have someone
taking that first step is the hardest first step. And I think there are definitely a subset of people that have that image disorder or like an image issue that we can help them with. But even taking it one step further, LaserSpa sounds kind of like, sci-fi, and scary.
Lasers.
And it sounds painful, and it doesn't have to be. And I think we work really hard towards making sure that it's comfortable walking in the door and that it's not painful when we do any of our services. We're really big on that. And we're medical, so we can provide a lot of topical numbing and pain relieving measures that will that are able to be provided at a medical facility versus a non-medical facility.
What are some of the conditions that the most common conditions that people come in to have treated that you're able to help them with?
I would say medically speaking, more like acne, rosacea, pigmentation issues.
Do people
sun
get acne
damage.
when they're out of high school? Is it something we always thought of as being something that younger
high
people
school
get? Do
thing,
people
yeah.
continue to get it when they get it?
Absolutely. For women in particular, the 2 blips for women are in their teens, but in their mid-30s. So really at any time of hormonal change, you are at risk for acne.
And that is the root, I guess, cause of it? It's the hormones?
Hormones, it's a precipitating factor. There's a lot of things that go, in terms of just a pimple by itself, there's 3 things you need. You need a clogged pore, you need the acne bacteria, and that acne bacteria is infecting that clogged pore. So that's your pimple, if you will. But there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think there's certainly more study being done in terms of actually tremendous amount of evidence that dictate what we're eating is really impacting whether you suffer from acne or not, and even at times of hormonal change.
So it's coming through your pores. And
it's literally coming through.
I've heard that greasy foods will contribute to acne.
And that's a fallacy. Actually.
Right, and that's why I asked about the
greasy foods won't do it, but it makes sense. But if you have greasy hands and you touch your face, you can certainly clog your pores or create debris in pores that are open.
So if someone has acne and they come in and they have, say it on their face, which is probably one of the more problematic areas, you're able to treat that with a laser or with some method of treating it?
I think
reduces
it's a
the appearance of it?
Right. It's a multifaceted treatment. It sounds more complicated than it has to be really. But first we address at a complimentary consultation everything that the person is doing diet-wise, lifestyle-wise, and address that. And truly, dairy is probably the number 1, 2, and 3 in terms of culprits for what's precipitating your acne. It creates a lot of mucus in the body. And so you're setting yourself up for increased mucus production, sebaceous production, and then you're just a sitting duck for acne bacteria. And then I tell people, you know what are you doing? Are you going to the gym? Are you touching your face? I literally never touch my face in public, ever. And my kids know this, and I'm always swatting their hands when they're doing it.
So why not in public? What do you do at home? Rub your hands all over your face?
I just roll around on the ground. No. Literally like
because of everything,
because of all the germs
right.
that are out there, and especially in the gym, there's a lot of sweaty people, and they're sweating all over the equipment. And I think they've done like tell-alls where they see what is growing on the equipment. But I like to wipe down my machines, but I literally never touch my face because we often reinfect ourselves. You might start with one pimple, but if you keep touching your face, or if you squeeze it, you're spreading it out on the inside. If you touch the rest of your face, you're going to spread. And so even when you're washing your face, you want to leave the area with the pimple as your last thing that you're washing.
So you don't spread the...
So you don't spread the bacteria.
And maybe sticking with that, not necessarily spreading them, but irritating and squeezing and maybe scratching at acne. What is that, and what could that do to your skin?
Squeezing it is, one, it can traumatize the surface of the skin and create a lot of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation and scarring. So like pigmentation that will stick around, not necessarily scarring yet, but discoloration that'll stick around for 6 to 8 weeks in some people and 6 to 8 months in darker skin types. And scarring, which is actually the pitting scarring, which is very tough to treat, but we do have lasers to treat that. And then we do have an IPL that treats active acne. So when you squeeze a pimple, there's a lot going on, and you're traumatizing the superficial skin, but the actual stuff that's in it, if it doesn't come out, and even if only part of it comes out off the top of the comedone, the rest of it is spreading underneath the skin, and you can actually get as bad as a cellulitis.
So I know there are different ways to treat acne, but are there different forms of acne in which you treat, or
many different forms?
Okay.
There's cystic acne, which is more likely to be hormonal. If it's along your jawline, it's more likely to be hormonal.
So how do you determine that? And I guess can you give us an idea of how you treat those differently?
Visually, when you come in, and that's why when people will call, or they'll stop me at the gym and be like, oh, what can I do about this?
Right.
Through a closed door. I was like, well, you know what? It's easier if you just come in, because everyone's treatment is different. I don't think I've done the same exact treatment plan on any
I can't imagine you get that. Look at this. Check this out. You have to see this. What is that, doctor?
Every day, Jay.
Is regular face washing helpful to avoiding acne?
Regular washing, but not overwashing. People make the mistake of, oh, I have greasy skin, I'm going to wash it like crazy, and I'm going to carry these little astringent pads, and I'm going to stringent the heck out of my skin. And you actually start to create this vicious cycle of your skin is stripped, your brain says, oh, I got to make more oil, and then you're suddenly producing more sebaceous fluid with your sebaceous glands because your skin is, your brain is saying,
what?
oily, it's
Oil.
that yellow, oily stuff that comes out if you squeeze
How
a pimple.
often would you
which you're not
recommend
supposed to
someone
do.
wash their face?
I truly, especially for my acne clients, wash with a cleanser once a day, and you can wash with plain water and a dry washcloth as many times as you want. Let me take that back. Maybe once or twice more if you're particularly greasy. But the cleanser only once a day. So for women, if you're wearing makeup, you want that cleanser to be at night before you go to bed. But in the morning, use plain water, because your face should theoretically have no makeup on and should be clean. And then use your towel for your exfoliation, almost, your dry towel. But if you over cleanse, you're going to set yourself up for acne bacteria or worse.
Yeah, and I think you told us before too. The water is the way to go. The other products could start to clog the pores.
Well, no, not clog the pores. If you overwash, you're going to be too clean.
Gotcha.
Just kind of like we use too much hand sanitizer, we're too clean,
Gotcha.
and then we set ourselves up for fungus. If you overwash your face, you're stripped of your fats, your lipids on your skin, and your brain says, okay, it's time to make more. So then you get over oily, so you set yourself up, and those overfilled sebaceous glands get infected. So
You hear a lot about moisturizers, in particular when you get out of the shower. You're supposed to put the moisturizer on while your skin is still damp.
yes, so it
Right,
seals.
because it traps the moisture. What is the effect on someone's skin if they were to take, say, 2 or 3 showers a day and they don't use any moisturizer? They just keep showering. Would that be bad for your skin? I mean, are there negative consequences to doing
If you
that?
shower with no moisturizer, you're just going to have dry
just say
skin.
you use soap. Just say you use bath
Oh,
soap.
soap is a 4-letter word. So dry bar soap, I think we've talked about before. The very drying agents that make it go from a liquid to a solid also dry your skin. So, if you can use a liquid cleanser or liquid soap, that's much better. If you can use something that exfoliates at least a couple times a week for your face and body, that's even better. Make sure your product for your face isn't one that you're using on your body and vice versa. Or did I say that right? Don't use your body cleanser for your face and just stick it in the shower because no one's going to, it's hard to remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of steps. And sometimes when we go through the steps, people look at us like, oh, this is so overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be. And we can simplify your regimen. So if you're cleansing your face, the shower over drying is just going to be a comfort issue too. The look of the skin, the feel of the skin, and how comfortable you are. For me, I can tell when my skin is dry, and it drives me insane. So I have to use some moisturizer, but everyone's different.
And how often and how quickly can you see some effects of moisturizer? Because I think now maybe we're getting on it a little bit, but I think
it still feels like winter.
It does. Feel like
I think
winter.
we're good.
Well,
It still feels
it's
like
funny
winter.
that Mark brought up because I said that yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I was checking my son for ticks, making sure he didn't have anything on him because we were out in the woods.
I'm impressed. I'm
And-
lazy about that. I need to be better.
And I said, well, we were out there. You wanted to play football, and we were rolling around. And I noticed his hands were dry. So I said, oh, geez, we got to keep putting the moisturizer on there. So I guess how often should you put it on? And I guess how quickly does it react? How quickly will you see some results?
Depends on the product. The ones with hyaluronic acid, you can actually visibly see the results almost immediately because they're pulling moisture from you internally and pulling moisture from their surroundings to get into the visible layer of the skin. So
What's the
the hyaluronic acid,
Okay.
it is a very water-loving molecule, if you will. And we actually have a lot of naturally occurring hyaluronic acid, but it's also the stuff that a lot of the fillers are made of. So when we're doing filler in the face, it's pulling moisture and it needs to pull moisture from you. So also drinking water is something I didn't mention earlier, but we tend to recommend a lot.
Yeah.
Hydrate from within because it's going to hydrate your skin eventually.
Because we tend not to drink enough water.
Especially in the winter.
Definitely
You're not
guilty.
driven by thirst. In the summer, you're driven by thirst, so you're going to drink more and probably still not enough. So if you're drinking your baseline 6 to 8 and then add based on, add an 8 ounces based on how many cups of coffee you drink per cup and 30 minutes of heavy duty exercise. So add the water in. It sounds like a lot of water. And that first 2 weeks, you're going to kind of be looking for every bathroom. But eventually your kidneys calm down and you will just reach a steady state and not.
And you'll feel the
obsessed,
difference. I think
right.
you will. And
You'll feel so much better, less headaches. You just overall feel more vibrant.
Does something like coffee, if you drink coffee, does that count as a water, or do you have to replace the water that you lose with the
You
coffee?
have to replace it. It's dehydrating. So the caffeine definitely causes diuresis, and so you are dehydrating. So you're
someone
pulling
who
water
says,
out
"Well,
of your
I
system.
drink 8 cups of water a day. 4 of those are coffee."
Yeah, like
That's
their internal
really
internal organs are
negative
like the
from-
Sahara
from
Desert.
the-
They need to drink more water. And I'm not against coffee drinkers, and I would never take anyone's coffee away. I'm a big coffee drinker, but I just supplement. Like so, every time I have a cup of coffee, I also force myself to have a glass of water.
I'm more on the dry end. I'm the
Yeah.
Sahara Desert
Like,
type stuff.
And I have my
I'm
days
s-
too where I just don't drink enough water. But then you get it one kidney stone, and then you remember for a couple of years, and then
Is that true of
Yeah.
alcohol also, that alcohol dehydrates you as well?
alcohol, because of the sugars in it, can dehydrate you.
So with the alcohol, you should replace.
Replace with water, and that's a
water.
great way to not have a hangover the next day too. Just have for every drink, have a glass of water, and you can still feel like you're part of the party, but you're not regretting it the next morning. So
Dr. Anita
nice
Amidon.
little trick.
Dr. Anita Amidon in studio with us from LaserSpa at 610. And we got about 5 minutes. And I want to go back to one of the things that you mentioned when we were talking about the event. You talked about information as I guess one of the things that people are going to get when they come to an event. And I think that's important because not only I think there are some times where we say no to stuff because we don't have the information. Kind of going back to one of our conversations we had earlier with some individuals in the studio. Not knowing, we just put it by the wayside and say no to it. And then I think the information part about knowing yourself and maybe what's best for you is important as well. So are there certain things that you find people are maybe misinformed about? Or there are certain things that they should be more informed about if they are going to have something done?
I think the top things I hear are, I didn't realize it was so affordable, or I didn't realize this could be painless,
Right.
and I didn't realize how much it could do. You know, like, I mean, really, like, we didn't know you offered so much more than just laser hair removal, and not just our place, but there's so much in the industry that we can do for acne, for rosacea, for pigmentation, for sun damage, for everything that you can visibly see on the skin, but also prevention. So beyond sunscreen, there's, you know, photoprotectants you can have in your products and in your makeup or in your topical applied product, topically applied products. So there's a lot of education to be had, and I think there's fear of pain, fear of price, fear of just something new too.
Talk a little bit. You said excessive pigmentation. Talk about a little bit about age spots. I don't know what the difference between an age spot and a freckle is.
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody really does. I
some
think we
little
just
kids have freckles and some don't. But
Right.
as people age, sometimes if they've been in the sun, they get these dark spots, which I assume it's pigmentation.
It's pigmentation, and I use
And can you
pigmentation
deal
because
with
it's
that?
we definitely have many different instruments and devices.
Do you have people
and
that come in
topical
with that
treatments.
complaint? They say, I've got these age spots, they bother me.
At least 50% of the people that come in complain
Really?
about pigmentation, and it is cumulative sun. You know, all pigmentation, whether it be a sun, well, whatever you call it, sunspot, sun damage, age spot, liver spot, all pigmentation that you can see on the skin is really the result of cumulative sun damage over the course of your lifetime. 60% of that blueprint is set by the time you're 18. The other 40% you can affect change by wearing sunscreen religiously, which I started doing.
60% is set by the time you're 18?
Right. And that doesn't mean we can't treat the pigment. We can still treat what you visibly see, but if you then have your indiscretions with the sun, it can come up again. So people may get treated, go away for a couple of years, come back and say, oh, the spot's back, it didn't work. No, that's not true. It did work. It took out what was at the visible end of the skin. But deeper, there's a blueprint, and your body can make that same spot again if you have that indiscretion.
You said 50% of the people come in complaining about.
We address
Yeah.
pigmentation issues with at least half the people that walk in the door. It's
Are
a
they
very
mostly
common
older
complaint.
people or younger people? Is it mostly?
You know, we're starting to see much younger dealing with pigment because
how old
you know,
did
the
people
shift.
get before they start being concerned about that? Roughly, and just ballpark.
I don't know, usually 30 to 50. I would say the 30 to 50 crowd and older. It used to be the 50 plus, but now it's 30 to 50. And now we really are seeing 20 somethings that are concerned.
And I don't know if I've ever asked you this. We only got about a minute and a half, but it's something like that Mark brought up, and it might be common, or it seems like it's just not so big of an issue. It's just, you know, the pigmentation. But do you find, or are there cases where there are skin issues or skin problems that are I guess determinations or they're indications of other issues, maybe with the skin as well, or just with the person themselves?
You know what? A lot of times, and I'm going to go to the most concerning one, is we'll never touch a lesion or treat a lesion until we know that it's safe to treat it. You don't really want the color of something to go away because it's one of the markers to determine if it's worrisome or not. If a lesion or a pigment spot is worrisome, you look at it's the ABCs, the asymmetry, the color. Of course, I'm going to forget B because I have mommy brain. What's B? Borders. You want to check the borders. Right. And if there's any change over any short period of time, if you have any of those things, you need to get it checked by a dermatologist. And the check isn't just a look by the door. It is a scalp to toe exam. So it's an intimate exam. Women will probably want a woman to do it. Men will probably want a male to do it. Or a woman. I don't know. I don't know about guys. But everyone deserves at least a yearly skin check, and it's pretty much covered by all the health insurances. But I can't tell you how many times I see someone who's already in their 40s and 50s and they've never had a skin check. So we all deserve at least a once-a-year scalp-to-toe skin exam. It could be done by your primary or a derm. And if you're at high risk, meaning you've had a lesion that's been atypical or worrisome before, twice a year or more. For a skin check.
Dr. Anita Amidon in studio. How do they find more about you? Is there a good place, website, phone number?
LaserSpa at 610 on Facebook, Instagram. We also have our website, LaserSpa at 610.com. And our phone number is 315-738-1662. And a complimentary consultation where you can give you all the time possible is going to be your best bet instead of a quick,
Perfect. We'll see you back in studio. Hopefully the sun is out next time. We'll protect ourselves.
I doubt it.